Hi, everybody. It's David Wilds in the New Jersey Globe. I am with former Senate President and candidate for the Democratic gubernatorial nomination, Steve Sweeney. Senator, you've been through a lot of election days over your career. What do you do? What's an election day for Steve Sweeney like?
Well, it's been busy running around, going to different places that actually are, headquarters that are actually trying to get people out to vote. I'm pretty excited. The areas that I've been working on are voting pretty healthy right now, and they were voting well with vote by mails. They're voting well in early voting, and this morning we've seen a good turnout in the areas where I need them to turn out. So, David, it's six people in the race. It's anyone's to win. I really do believe that. And I like my numbers the way they're moving right now.
And South Jersey is coming through, which is, I see that in the early vote and the vote by mail, and that's what you needed.
Well, the vote by mail, the early voting and vote by mail, South Jersey's 21.6% of the Democrat vote statewide, and we were over 30. So of the current vote, so we're outperforming and we're hustling. And David, and I got friends in other parts of the state. I'm not a one-dimensional candidate. I have relationships everywhere, and I expect that I'm going to get my votes in the northern and central part of the states.
Yeah, and I agree with that. You've got you've got a lot of relationships from your time in the Senate and labor unions all over New Jersey. Has this?
And I've got a lot of. Sorry, David.
No, go ahead, Senator.
We have unions that are voting, and for me, unions normally only vote 10 to 15% in the primary. We're no different than everyone else. But I got unions, they're calling they're texting, they're calling, they're mailing their members, getting them out to go to vote. That it's not just the Democrats either, it's the unaffiliated they're talking to also. So, for example, the food and commercial workers have 85,000 members statewide, and 30,000 happen to be Democrats. And they're working really hard for me. The longshoremen, they got 20,000 members. They're really hustling for me. And in fact, last week we had 140 longshoremen and Bloomfield, going out to do lit drops. And last Saturday we had 1,000 people on the street. So I think I'm kind of the candidate they don't see coming.
Yeah, and there have been those before, right? I mean, I guess that's sort of the sense of what this election is about is the rules have changed dramatically. That no organization lines has really made these races potentially winnable for everybody.
Yeah, and David, the last election like this, and there was in 1981. There was the mayor of Jersey City, the mayor of Newark, 2 Congress people, and I think the treasurer, and I forget, and the Senate president, and the guy from South Jersey won.
Yeah.
So, and there was no lines then. You know what I mean, David? It was the beginning of public funding. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of correlations to that, and I remember that primary, very well, because both of them, both Tom Kaine and Jim Florio, they didn't win by a whole lot because these fields were just absolutely enormous.
Yeah, I think that, this is going to be a close election. I don't believe, obviously, David, I'm not a big believer in polls, especially polls released by candidates. And, in 2021, I had 2 polls. One had me winning by 15. The other one had me winning by 19. What I rely on is the results. I was in a diner in Riverside yesterday, and I was like overwhelmed about the positivity. The people were with me. People were calling out, asking for pictures, saying they're voting for me. You know what I mean? And I didn't even get a chance to approach them, and they're like, "Yeah, we're voting for you." And so I feel a lot of momentum and energy right now.
Because I know I promised your staff just 5 minutes, and I I'm already running over, which is typical of me. But any last message to voters of New Jersey that might still be undecided?
If we want to win in November, vote for me. I'm the candidate that's going to talk to the 500,000 Democrats that walked away from us in the last election. You know, David, Democrats have to they have to start listening. And if they listen, they're going to hear about the economy and affordability. And we got to, as Democrats, our message has to be economy and affordability. And I'm that one candidate because I'm that person now. You know, I'm a Democrat and always been a Democrat. But a lot of my friends and colleagues aren't voting Democrat anymore because they don't think we're listening to them. So if we want to win in November, I'm the strongest candidate. I saw an article in a publication that said they feared Josh and me the most, the Republicans did, because I am not a partisan. I'm a Democrat, 1,000% a Democrat, but I'm not a partisan Democrat. I will work with people to get things done from both sides of the aisle. I've done it before. I know how to do it. And that's what's wrong with our country right now, David. It's too partisan. Too many people are stuck in the sand, not willing to move. We need to work for the people in order to make this state more affordable.
Fair enough. Senator Steve Sweeney, best of luck to you tonight. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, David.
Take care. Good.